Hello, everybody, and welcome in to a We're All Alive episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Frankie, Freako. That's right, the most absurd movie for the most absurd timeline. Joining me tonight, first up, from Manhattan, New York City. You can blame him if you want. Please welcome John Schnars to the show.
All right, let's not start assigning blame right out of the gate. I blame President Munch, or whatever he's called, Commander Munch.
Commander Munch. Next up on the show, from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello.
And last up tonight, from the Bay Area of San Francisco, please welcome Rachel to the show.
No squares here.
That's
Ooh.
right. That's right. Yeah, so we all got up this morning and had a discussion about recording the show, and we're like, you know what? We've done the show for a long time. We've done it through a lot of crazy shit, and we never regretted doing it. And, you know, I figure if we can offer people a little escape, it's worth it.
No better movie in this time, in this day to... I almost thought about rewatching the movie this morning, just to be like, fuck it. It's only 88 minutes. Let's go.
A clean 88. I like it.
Yep.
Yeah. Me and Connor just going on the trip of our lives. So,
All right, well, let's get it. Let's take a quick break and review Frankie, a Freako.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
John Schnars.
mm,
Can you
Should I
guess what
offer-
my... Can
I
you
was going to
guess
offer
what...
preemptive apologies if I forget to mute and have a hacking fit.
Oh, I don't
So,
mind coughing, John. It's okay.
It's not pleasant.
Can you guess what my favorite? Can you guess what my favorite joke was in this movie?
Well, the one you texted about was the boxing glove flying into the...
That was pretty good. No, John. Listen, it was the fart soda.
Oh, yeah, Farcola. So good. He opens the fridge. It's just nothing but Farcola.
Just stopped.
Oh, there's
Stop.
the
You
billboards
can't just
and
say
everything.
fart.
I love when he tries it, and he's like, oh, yeah, I get it.
I'm a simple man, John.
Yeah.
Just a simple man.
Well, whatever. We'll get into it. But the beauty is just like, it's never, at no point is there any explanation or apology.
Is it
It's just like,
addressed?
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
called like, this is Farcola. This is what
Just
the
the
Freakos
soda
drink.
of the freaks. The
Yeah, it's the
Freakos. Yeah.
Freakos. They love it. And here you go.
Oh my god. All right, John. Please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word is Poindexter. That's Poindexter. Poindexter. One definition: a boringly studious and socially inept person. Poindexter. I'm gonna actually offer this as a trivia question. Can you name the cartoon from whence the term Poindexter came, according to the Google etymology here?
I just immediately thought of Revenge of the Nerds, but of course
Looney
it
Tunes.
must have existed before that.
So it says 1980s. Felix the Cat.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Poindexter.
That
Feels
was
like
like
it's
one
been
of
with
my
us-
mom's favorite insults.
Yeah.
Growing
I
up,
mean,
calling people
it feels like it's
Poindexter.
been with us forever. I mean, but that is forever in my timeline. So Poindexter. Yeah. So, I mean, I think Eric or no.
Tell
Rachel,
me
you
about.
mentioned-
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Our main character here, Connor. So, Frankie Freako features this gentleman, Connor, played by Connor Sweeney. Helpful when the character name and the actor name are the same. Connor is a square. He's like kind of just the most amazing version of a square too. We meet him. He's at the office. Oh, and I should say, the film written and directed by Steven Kostansky of Psycho Gorman fame. If anyone listening to this pod is like, why are these mental patients so excited about a movie called Frankie Freako, which I've never heard of, It's because this guy made a movie called Psycho Goreman that, if you've not been listening to the pod for a while, you may also not have heard of. But yeah, so Frankie Freako, we got Connor. He's at the office. We meet his boss, Mr. Buechler. Buechler is this guy Adam Brooks, who you will remember from Psycho Goreman, as well as, do you guys remember Father's Day? He was one of the main characters in Father's Day as well, I believe.
Like the Trauma remake?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
correct. But so Connor Square, he has a very attractive wife who is at home preparing for him to return from work. There's like this 80s montage of her putting on sort of like
Sexy stuff.
boudoir wear. What do we call that?
That's one thing you could call it.
It's great. There's like this whole thing with her getting ready, and then he comes in and he's like real spun up. I can't even remember. It's because he's been asked to like stay late over the weekend. Is that why he's
No,
like,
so the boss.
spice
This
up
is my
his day.
favorite scene. Like the guy is like, "Hey,
Yeah.
your presentation is boring and needs to get spiced up." And when the guy gets upset, he's like, never mind, I love it.
Yeah.
And then he walks around the corner and he tosses a note onto his desk and runs away. And the note says, if you don't fix it, you're fired.
yeah,
Don't be mad at me.
no, you
Don't
be
yell
mad
at
at me.
Don't be mad
Don't
at me.
yeah, you won't be promoted, I think is the threat.
Yeah.
He I forgot about the presentation. Oh my god.
It's
Yeah,
not, it
the-
has nothing to do with anything, but it's like the
Yeah.
most important thing in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Well, the subdivisions, and we see him give the presentation. It's pretty bland, but he goes home.
John's
he
like,
has,
not the
like-
best deck. I would have done a better deck.
One of my favorite jokes in the movie is in this first 10 minutes where the wife is like ready for him to come home, and they get in bed, and she's like trying to convince him to be intimate, and they like hold hands for
And
I
he's
don't know,
like,
10
"Ugh."
seconds, and he like finishes. It's amazing. Yeah,
John,
he lays
wait,
down.
wait. Everyone be quiet. John, can you slowly say he finishes again?
Can't go back.
I need to isolate
Start
that.
coughing. So and you know, he's like congratulating himself, all but rolls over and gets a cigarette, you know, almost. But you know, and so we're just introduced. He's like the squarest guy on the planet. And so then he's watching his favorite like antique roadshow knockoff show, and he gets commercial for a hotline, a 1-900 number, which again, like no one born after 1995 will
an
even know what
era.
these are.
Well, it's set in that time. All the TV, there's no cell phones. All the
Totally.
TVs are
Yeah.
tube TVs.
Yeah. So he's watching, he gets the 1-900 number, and it's for Frankie Freako. And it's just like call and like have a freaky good time. But it's like just the puppet. And he looks ridiculous. But Connor is intrigued. And so then the wife leaves. She's going on a trip to like get ready for her like art exhibition or something. Because she's a sculptor. And she I'm like trying real hard not to cough. She when she leaves, he just can't help himself, and he calls the Freako hotline. And so then it's like
But he's had a problem with the 900 numbers before.
that's true. There was another 900 number incident, we've been told. It's there's like so many random things. Like the wife tells him before she leaves, like, "Oh, I locked up the guns. Like, don't worry, the guns are all," because she's like kind of a gun nut. Like he has this picture of her that he keeps looking at while she's gone. That's her holding a gun. I don't know. So Frankie Freako comes. There's three freaks. There's three Freakos. It's Frankie.
Tell me about these little freaks, John. In
So
detail.
you got Frankie. Then you've got her name's like Dottie Dunko.
Dottie Dunko is like a Wild West
Yeah.
lady freak,
Yeah.
She's Annie Oakley.
plus the
as a
sexy gremlin
Yeah.
from Gremlins
Exactly.
too. Yeah.
But
Retta.
only the eyes. Like she's like making eyes at people all the time. And
We
she
gotta talk about the scene where she fools the other guy, and he's like, "Oh," and he's like, and then he gets the stuff dumped on.
the glue. Yeah, so the Freakos show up. It's like a catastrophe. They like destroy the house.
Do you know what it is? This is fucking so funny. It's Knock Knock with Freakos. Like they show up and like ruin his house and then threaten to like tell his wife, and they have video of him partying and stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, the
And they
videos are
use that to
Polaroids.
like blackmail him basically.
Yeah.
What
Meanwhile,
do they want though? They just
To
want to have like
party.
a good
They
time.
just wanna
want to
party.
party.
Yeah.
The Freakos,
So-
they're like, just let us party and we're gonna go.
And
Well,
he's just
and-
resistant, and that's why they like fuck with him.
No, but
Yeah.
as we've learned, they've also been thrown out of their homeland, Freako World, or
Freak
whatever it's
World.
called. Freak
It's
World.
Freak World, John.
They had to, get out of there because.
Do you
want
want to
to
know a fun fact? When you type Freak World into a text on Apple, it auto corrects it to all caps,
Oh, interesting.
which I'm a fan of.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think other bits that are somewhat relevant, although none.
You
of
don't
it really
learn though.
matters.
It's important. You don't learn all the Freak World backstory until later on when they start becoming like right before they start kind of teaming up together.
Well,
Yeah.
there's like it's like halfway into the movie you get an exposition dump where they watch a like
Like a
how to
videotape.
how to treat your freakos video, and it like gives you the backstory of the freakos and like what they want and how they like to behave. But oh well, so he was supposed to go to the office because Buechler, his boss, has sort of like conned him into coming in and shredding a bunch of financial documents that implicate him in embezzlement.
Very Succession.
Yeah. Well, and he's like, make sure the video camera sees you shredding.
He's
these
like, yeah, I
documents."
just want to make sure you're the one in this camera. And he's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, cool.
But so then that kind of pulls Buechler in because he ends up back at the house with the freakos. He gets covered in glue because there's just like a
Right, it's all just
industrial
pretense to get
size
him
barrel
get
of
him
glue.
in
He's
with
got
the
a
Freakos.
he's got a party with the Freakos. He's got that sweet ponytail.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's giving like George Carlin in the Bill and Ted movies.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Freako-ness ensues, and then eventually they have to go back to the Freako homeworld. How did that? I can't even remember. How did they teleport there the first time?
Through the phone.
The phone. Yeah.
Oh,
They travel
The
through the phone
conduit.
lines.
yes. But then when they come back, they're in like a mine car from Indiana Jones, and the
Naturally.
mine car crashes through the house.
As
and
you
the
That's
house
the
is
best
all
scene in the
fucked up.
movie. Whatever
Yeah.
animation they were doing in that scene was
Yeah.
amazing.
So yeah, that's Frankie
Love it.
Freako. I mean, if that didn't make any sense, it's because the movie doesn't really make any sense.
We'll get to the
Not
twist at
because
the end
my
too, but the twist at the
Explanation is
end
bad.
is Chef's Kiss.
Mhm.
Rachel, what'd you think?
Okay, so I'm gonna have some criticism for it, but which I
think-
feel
I
is going
think
to
that's
be
fair.
unpopular tonight. Okay, but I'm fucking delighted that it exists. Like there was this time in the era of the 900 numbers where these little like party monster goblins were all over our screens. Like my childhood is littered with their antics and their, as we saw in our text today, like problematic VHS covers. So I just have like a great affection for this kind of forgotten, lost,
And it's like an
subgenre.
amalgamation of all of those things, right? It's
Yeah.
like Munchies and like remember
Garbage Pail
Boglins,
Kids.
Garbage Pail
Hobgoblins,
Kids, like shit
critters,
like that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was a thing. There was an era of where these little creatures, the ghoulies, they ruled, and it has kind of fallen off. So I'm like amazed that this movie exists. It's so niche and it's so very specific. I think it's kind of a miracle that Stephen Kostansky, I think, was able to make it at all, and I think that's amazing. He's with this. I haven't seen his first film, but with this and Psycho.
You mean
Gorman, it's
Psycho
like-
Gorman?
No, I think he had one before this. There's
Oh,
one
did he?
before
Yeah,
Okay,
this.
he
Father's
might
Day.
have.
Okay.
Oh,
I think it was.
he
Father's
also
Day.
directed
It was
that.
like
Oh, I
a,
didn't realize.
it was a low budget version, not the one you're thinking of. I think.
Well, anyway, I kind of feel like he is assembling this like bizarro nostalgia world. Like I feel like this and Psycho Gorman exist in the same world, and it's just weird and delightful, and I'm all in on it. There's a tone to this movie that I think is either you're going to be in or out within 5 minutes from when this starts.
Yeah.
It is either going to work for you or not at all. It's like this twist on like hokey 1980s TV, but it also feels at the same time indescribably Canadian, and I don't really know exactly how to
It's
put my
so
finger
goddamn
on it.
Canadian. Yeah, in a
It's-
way that I was almost like, okay, I'm gonna gird myself here. I can do this. In the beginning, I was like,
Yes.
oh my, it's immediately Canadian, is what I would call it.
and I don't know if it's like the wholesomeness and the way that it like takes the 80s nostalgia stuff and makes it somehow less sleazy. I don't know. Maybe we can get into it.
It's like all of that stuff filtered through this bizarre, like Canadian
Yes.
Tim and Eric lens.
Yeah. Yes, Tim and Eric is exactly what I was thinking when I was watching this. Like, this is sort of like a feature length.
Absurdist comedy, just to the nth degree.
Yeah, and it's the kind of bonkers that I really enjoy. I love the puppetiness of the Freako gang. I love their design. I love how they leaned into it, and like you could practically see the hand of all their asses at all times. Yeah, the only real criticism I have, because I think this is genuinely a ton of fun, is I wish it went a little harder. One of the things I really loved was how surprisingly hard Psycho Gorman went, despite being kind of cutesy, and I enjoyed the tension between those two things, and I wish that they partied a little harder and punished a little harder in this. So it feels comparatively, it doesn't quite have that same, like, it didn't hit as hard. But still, I had a great time, and I'm all in on whatever this guy wants to do. Like, if he wants to keep doing these weird, super niche 80s movies, I'm about it.
Casey.
The other movie he directed The Void,
Yeah.
which we covered,
Oh,
and is sweet.
is it a cool
What?
movie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wild.
He,
Wild.
he was on.
Yeah.
He's on at least one of the ABCs of Death, and then he's on VHS 94, I think, as well.
Yeah, I
That's
was
the one I
wrong.
haven't seen.
He was on the makeup department on that
Yeah,
Father's Day, but he's done a ton of makeup work. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
He looked like he was the lead prosthetics guy on In a Violent Nature, even.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Casey, what you got?
I'm not far off from Rachel, really. This movie is super dumb, but if you looked at the cover of Frankie Freako and expected art house, that's on you. I'm sorry. This is definitely super dumb, and I did get a lot of that blast of nostalgia from all those movies, like we're talking about with Munchies and stuff like that. Garbage Pail Kids, it really hit that lane. I think this movie, even though it's only 88 minutes long, there's parts in the middle that I definitely checked out. It's like, oh, okay, just get back to the more fun parts. And there's a couple moments of that in there, but really I was blown away on how this movie looked. This is such a late 80s, early 90s movie. They got the washed out colors and lens flare and
You know what it
everything
is?
going.
It's like 90s full moon is what it looks like.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Mhm.
It's up there, but like even the stuff, the opening 10 minutes with Connor and his wife or girlfriend when he comes home and her getting ready and stuff, and with that washed out filter and stuff, that was like late night HBO crap that you found.
Red
Yeah.
Shoe
Random.
Diaries.
You know,
There's
this
so much of
past,
that in there.
I think last season, maybe in the last drive-in, Joe Bob did one of these full moon movies, and he had Charles Band on. I don't remember what it was, but there was a puppet in it, very similar to these guys, where it was like you could tell they had just enough money to shoot with this thing for one day, and so every line this thing has in the movie, he's sitting in the same exact spot, and it's every
Yeah.
line for 90 minutes, just like the same shot. That's sort of like what this reminded me of.
Yeah, but other than that, though, I mean, I'm with Rachel too. That's my con on this movie is I wish they would have gone further. Once, especially when they first show up, and then we only see the aftermath afterwards. We don't see any of the partying or anything like that. I wish we would have seen some of that. We had some great montages and stuff and popped up in there, but I just wish they would have gone a little more over the top. There wasn't even that much blood in here, I don't think. But
I was gonna. Is it? Do we know what it's rated? It didn't, or was it just unrated? Because there's nothing on Wikipedia.
I don't know. That may be
If this
because
thing
it's
were
all
more than a
indie.
PG, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like a PG-13 maybe, because there's like
Is that a
references to-
Canadian R?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is nothing on IMDb either. So that's, I don't know. Maybe it just is unrated.
But overall,
John-
it's a fun movie.
John, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I generally agree. Here's the thing: like, I had a great time watching this. I was like on a lot of cold medicine when I watched it,
Oh,
and
perfect.
it was perfect. Like, it was just like, what the fuck is even happening? This is like the craziest thing I've ever seen, and it's one of these things that it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Even as I agree, it doesn't really go that hard. It doesn't go hard in the way that like maybe we're like, jaded at a certain, at a level.
Love it.
you know, but there's like some great moments. I just thought it was funny. I mean, I was asking you guys before the show, the freak who's my favorite. I guess we decided his name is Boink. Even though in the credits
Shabadoo.
there's no one credited with the voice of Boink, but yeah, he would be like Shabba no, like everything was just,
Don't.
yeah.
Yeah,
I love him.
he says he only says Shabadoo for the whole movie, except that one line where he's like Shabadoo it.
No, well, there's a couple other times where he like there's a Shabba no, yeah, there's a Shabba
Yeah.
don't, like there's a couple other, but yeah,
The
he
Shabba don't is very poignant.
yeah,
It is.
no, it's great. I mean,
Shabba don't.
he's so ridiculous. He's like the inventor one, I guess.
He's
and
the
so
funniest in them. Like they're all funny in their own right, but
Yeah.
the Shabadoo thing, like it's just brilliant. I fucking
Well,
love it.
it's yeah, and you know, there's this whole thing with like with Frankie Freako, he's also like a demon, and so when you show him a cross, he catches on fire or something. That becomes like a
Yeah.
pretty important plot point towards the end. So yeah, it was great. I mean, I just had a great time watching it. It is short. It doesn't like rage as much as you might want it to. I thought Connor was a lot of fun. Like
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
was happy to be spending time with Connor. He's a perfect like square, but not in the like they never really play it like he's an offensive douche. He's just kind of like, I don't know.
But in the beginning, you're like not sure because you don't know what the
No.
hell you're watching
Right.
and everything's so weird. I think by the end, you realize like, oh, okay, he's like a wholesome good guy. He's got a character arc here. Like, okay, but in the beginning, I was like, what is this? fucking
He's
dude?
basically what's his name from American Psycho? Like he like wants to be a like go-getter 80s guy or you know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
early
like
90s guy, but he's Ned Flanders. Like it's
Yeah, it's
that-
just like the humor is so Canadian. It really
Mhm.
takes a while to figure out like what the fuck. At least that was my experience. Like this
You're
thing
like,
was
what
a ro-
is this tone?
this
What
thing
is
was a
this tone?
roller coaster for me, and I honestly don't remember what I truly thought of Psycho Gorman like in the details. But I think that it's a testament to these movies that this guy makes, because I think this is going to fall into that same category where like there are absolutely like complaints about it, but in a year you're going to ask me what I think about it. I'm going to be like, bro, fart soda. That was the best
Yeah.
joke of the year. Like
Exactly.
they are memorable in a way that is so unique.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's what makes them special. That said,
Yeah.
I was out on this movie for the first full half. I was like, I don't
Oh.
understand this movie. I don't think this is funny. I was like, there's no like Psycho Gorman does a better job of getting into like that movie is the most fun when it does those. I remember those little alien councils they had where all the
Mhm.
aliens are like they're looking for Psycho Gorman or something. Like that added this great flavor and broadening of scope to the film that even though it wasn't much, it was just like one scene they set up. It just adds lore and this, you know, and there's like montage, there's more montages, and I don't know. I just think overall, I think Psycho Gorman moves better and is funnier. But where this movie really started to win me over was when they start to all become friends, and when Frankie Freako is like, we're good at smashing stuff, but we can put stuff back together too, which is hilarious when you think of it in the fullness of the movie in that last
Yeah.
scene.
Oh, it's so
But-
good.
Well,
That
when they
once
pull
we
out
got
the
to that
hammer and he's like,
montage,
"Yes, hammer."
Yeah.
when they started like helping each other and friendly, and then the bad guy shows up, to me, that's where the movie clicks. Like when what's the bad guy's name?
Munch.
Munch.
Oh,
Munch shows up
Munch,
and
okay.
captures them and immediately tells them he's going to make them concubines
Well, they want Connor to be a concubine because he's like a pretty boy.
because he's
Yeah.
pretty.
Well,
And
then
so
they put him in that outfit that's like, you know, Xena or
So
something.
they take him to their world, and then I'm like, oh fuck, I am all in on Freak World. Like they're in these little
Oh, yeah.
Indiana Jones carts. It's like some kind of combination
On
of
brand.
stop motion.
Oh, those shots.
Are you saying
Connor
this makes
riding
sense
in the
for me,
back of the
Rachel?
mine car with the Freakos?
Like
rolling
some
through the
kind of
city
combination
are
of
A+.
like it's like stop motion and claymation, and just that's what, because what I was just thinking was like, this is what these dudes excel at, are these like absurdist out there worlds. And like that's the moment I remember wanting more of that from Psycho Gorman. But again, it's like they're so low budget that so you get it. It's like if even that whole world, really all you're getting is that ride through it, and then you're in an office. Like that's the whole thing, and then they ride back out of it. But it's so fun. It gives the thing such scope. And I just keep thinking, like, man, I would love to see this dude have enough money to just make an entire movie in one of these worlds, because that's what I want to see. So it almost is a bummer that they have to go, you know, the screenwriting is in service of the budget because it has to be, like, it's got to be economical, and they've got to sort of get enough content to get into the place where they can do this wacky shit. And it's amazing. Like we got to talk about the fucking, what's this guy's name when they go to Freak World with the old guy with the little squish face?
That's Crunch.
He's my favorite character in the whole goddamn. That effect, whoever made that little creepy doll is incredible. Like it's so weirdly lifelike and horrifying. And he's just like, meh. And the way he just keeps getting shit on, and then at the end, like they just drive away without him, and he's all burned, and he's like,
well, they're not bringing his melted ass face back to Earth. I mean, well, so he brings out a device. This is the like thing that they're gonna do on Freak. Like Munch has tried to like rein in the freakiness of Freak World, and so he has a device that you put your hand on it, and it tells you if you're a freak or not. And if you're a freak, it like shoots you with lasers, I guess, until you're like fried, or if you know. And so that's where he makes Crunch test it.
And I love that because it actually is like, it brings the whole character arc full circle, that he's such a square. That's what saves him in the end.
Yeah.
Oh, and so to me, the movie just sings when we get to Freak World, and it actually like, it recontextualized the whole first half. Cause I'm like, okay, I actually think I could go back and watch this and be totally down with the first half of it.
I think so.
And then we come back to Earth and it gets even better because first of all, there's a running gag, right? He doesn't want to like, it's very 80s movie. Like he doesn't want to trash the house while his like wife is away. And the house is fucking destroyed. And it's even worse. Like when they come through the portal, it just crashes through like 3 walls, this fucking cart that they're in. And like, you just sit on a shot of the house and how fucked up it is. And then they're like, don't worry, we got this. And there's a cleaning montage, but it's like not right. Like they're just duct taping shit.
No, they're terrible at cleaning.
They replaced the portrait with a like children's like crayon picture.
Yeah.
They put the statue back together wrong and just put tape on it. But what's funny about it is they're all like, they're all like, we're nailing this.
We did
Well,
it.
also Connor.
That's the moment where I'm like, I get it now. I understand this movie. Like I understand this humor.
Well, doesn't Munch come back to Earth with him too?
He comes back again to fight again, I think. And then
well, because that's when because there's a whole Buchler or whatever his name is who's in glue. He gets another moment down in the basement.
So the whole final
the floor the whole time.
the whole final like sequence of 3 or 4 kind of fake endings is so fucking brilliant. It's literally like the house fixing montage. The wife comes back and after acting shocked for a minute, reveals that Frankie Freako is her friend.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent the freaks.
Dottie Dunko was her college roommate.
Yeah.
And she sends, they went to gun school together. Yes. And she sends the friends. She sent the friends to her husband while she was out of town to try to help her husband loosen up. And so this all happened exactly as planned. So it's like, so then we cut to, so it's like a happy ending music for a second. Then we smash cut to a Christmas photo where they're clearly just holding the puppets with nothing, just the puppets, right? And they have hats on. You see that for 2 seconds. Then it smash cuts again to the guy in the warehouse just covered in the glue, just dying, basically. And then we smash cut to the credits where they're playing like, what the hell was it? Like Jingle Bell Rock or something? Like some Christmas song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is amazing because it's not a Christmas movie. That's my favorite part. Like there's no Christmas in the rest of the movie until the last 30 seconds.
Well, it's probably fair use. You know, it was out of copyright, so they could.
But I think it's just also that absurdist humor of like, whatever. Like we're just gonna keep putting a hat. This is where putting a hat on a hat works.
Yeah.
Well,
you get enough hats.
It's
a work of art.
Exactly.
Human hatipede. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I think it's pretty brilliant. I mean, I'm
surprised by this take and delighted.
I was pretty excited I did not watch a trailer. I knew nothing.
John, you have not
Other-
sounded excited for the weeks we've been talking about it.
No, but I mean, I was
Watch
joking.
more
to a certain-
movies on NyQuil. That's my
Yeah,
takeaway.
well, that's also possible.
Robo
No,
tripping.
but like, I mean, Psycho Goreman, I have a similar like history with it as you do, Eric, which is like, I remember watching it and being like, I don't know, this is fucking crazy. But then once we did the show on it, and like now when I think back on it, I have like nothing but rosy memories of Psycho
Yeah.
Goreman. So when coming into this, all I knew was it was called Frankie Freako, and I had seen a picture of Frank. I'd seen the cover of the poster, and I was like, oh my god, this fucking movie is gonna be.
And I think
something.
that is the effect of something being so genuine and kind of singular and joyful. And
Yeah.
so like it can be rough around the edges, but it leaves that kind of positive memory.
It delivers exactly what you think it's going to deliver.
Yes,
It,
Yes.
it managed to, in this era, recreate that magic of seeing a VHS cover and renting it and bringing it home and discovering some strange thing.
it's
that,
kind of
like,
the rare
Yeah.
rare instance of something trying to be camp and actually accomplishing it. And I think it does that
Yeah.
by making it so absurdist and not just
Yeah.
trying to make silly jokes.
Yeah, and this is, but and like Rachel said, outside of the VHS era, when you get in that early digital cable era, this was something you would have stumbled across. flipping
Imagine
through
seeing this
HBO
movie
or
at
something.
2 a.m.
Yeah,
after
exactly.
you become home drunk or something.
What the hell is this?
No, you'd be dead. You just be like, gone.
This would have
Just
been-
flipping between this and Scrambled Spice Channel.
This would have absolutely been in like a slumber party fave. If, like I had discovered this
Oh,
at like
yeah.
13. We would have
Well, now
watched
I'm-
this
I'm,
thing
like,
within an inch of
thinking-
his life.
Could I show my kids this movie? Like, I'm trying to think. You know,
I mean, there's like a couple of sexual innuendo jokes, but like think about the stuff we watched. Like they'd be
oh
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You probably
Yeah,
don't
the
want 'em
first
spray painting
bedroom
butt
scene.
on your,
I'm not
fireplace.
talking my 8-year-old through that first bedroom scene, dude. Like, no thanks.
I guess maybe you're more responsible parents because my parents would not. They would have been like, yeah.
Not a chance.
Oh yeah. I mean, we watch Simpsons. You actually forget how much sex stuff is in Simpsons until
Yeah.
you're watching it with like a 6-year-old, and you're like, oh my god, what are they talking about? So, yeah.
Homer gets it in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No. It's a loving relationship they have.
Yes, it is.
All right. I can't believe we're 4 thumbs up. I'm genuinely shocked by that. Let's do it. Who would you recommend this movie? Rachel.
For sure. It's so fun. You need a little joy in your life, especially right now. Get into
Casey.
it. Get your freak on.
Oh yeah, definitely. Get you a couple beers and sit back and relax.
I think beers are great pull for that. John.
Yep.
Or Robitussin, also great
Yeah.
for watching Frankie.
Either
Freako.
beers or like there's that special amount of it's like edible high where you
Yeah.
don't know if the weird thing you're watching is weird because it's weird or because you're so high. And this movie's like that fucking sweet spot. Like
Oh,
you
yeah.
will have no idea what you're supposed to be doing while watching.
And there's
this.
going to be something absolutely dumb and pointless that pops up and going to leave you sitting there going,
Shabba-doo.
Shabba.
exactly.
All right. 4 thumbs up from the BGH crew. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
This was a good idea.
Send
This was fun.
feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
A couple of comments from our YouTubers tonight. Joe Ferry, I love that I was able to leave during sexy square bedroom talk, put my kids to bed, and John is still summarizing.
Pew pew, shots fired.
And then the J says, sounds like Kids in the Hall vibes. It is. That's, yeah, Canadian, weird. Yeah.
Mhm.
I was obsessed with Kids in the Hall as like
Oh
a
yeah.
early teenager when it was just on Comedy Central every day.
Well, I was gonna say they had the Comedy Central reruns constantly. It was the best.
Mark and I still joke about that skit where all they eat is macaroni and cheese and ketchup, and they're joking about fattening up their tapeworms.
My favorite Kids in the Hall has always been, he's a girl drunk.
That's right. Holy shit. That's wow. Amazing. We got the best email ever, John.
Oh, wow.
The subject is just Lost reviews.
Okay.
Someone at some point in BGH history was reviewing Lost episodes. When
I
was
think
that
I
show
was.
even on?
No, that was me.
Okay, John, then this email is even better.
Okay.
From D Rush.
Mm-hmm.
I read 2 of your reviews of season 5 Lost episodes. I found them incredibly shallow and empty.
What?
Not done. You can't even be interesting in your criticisms of the episodes.
Wow.
Boom.
Roasted.
I had no idea you wrote those. This is
Dude,
even better. Now.
I'm pretty sure I was doing those like night of. Like I was basically you remember this was like a time when it was like a thing that you would like review episodes.
Recaps, basically.
Yeah, you would do like recaps. Exactly.
People still do that, by the way. So, you're not on the internet, but that's still a thing.
No, I mean I figured it still exists at some level. I assumed it's all like on TikTok or something.
But that was very like 2010s blog era for sure.
Yeah. We're experimenting a bit.
I'm pretty sure I did. It was like 2 full seasons worth of
That's incredible.
recapping. Yeah.
Well, this person fucking hates them, John. So
You know, they read 2 of them. I mean, thanks, man. Thanks, D Rush or gal. So
I thought for sure this was going to be an Eric is right email, which is usually the greatest email.
I do enjoy
discovered there
those.
is a new genre that actually beats it, which is
That's
John
right.
is wrong.
Eric is right, John is wrong. Like I'll accept either, honestly. Both things feed me. So
Oh shit!
all right, that's it for email.
that
All right.
great.
We got a couple threads out here. First up, our buddy drummer from Foghat. Anyone know how to call Pumpkinhead? I have a list, and I'm willing to give a lot.
That part.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Popcorn.Designs. Have any of y'all been kicked out of a bar?
No.
Yes.
Yes. Believe it or not.
Okay, tell the story. I need to
It's
hear
not
this.
that
What did you
interesting.
do?
So when I was growing up, when I was 18 or 19, I looked like 13, and my brother gave me his old ID to get into bars, which if you knew my brother is hilarious because I literally look nothing
Yeah, you're like half
nothing
his
like
size.
him whatsoever, and I'm like half his size.
Yeah.
But you go to the right bar, nobody cares. So we were like visiting a friend at a college out here. I get in, it's fine. And then he convinces me, he's like, no, we got to get like this other person who didn't have an ID. So he takes my ID and brings it in, tries to get in
No.
again like 2 minutes later. And they're like, yeah,
Oh, Lord.
so I got the ID taken and we all got kicked out.
Mm.
Boo.
It's not the most exciting story, but it did happen.
No, but it's a tragedy. Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
I didn't get it.
I've been asked out of bars for being rowdy at different times, but that
Tell me
you know,
about
like
it, John. That
well,
doesn't
I don't
shock me,
even-
you're rowdy.
most of the time I don't remember for the reason that you would expect that I remember.
There's a wild beast inside of John that comes out when he drinks.
Yeah.
Well,
I've
and
seen a
usually
whisper of it. Yeah.
Vodka
it's not
schnapps is
just
the
me. It's like usually it was like a group I was with was getting thrown out of a bar. I did have to carry one of my sisters out of a bar, where like I can't
Do
remember.
the schnarzes all go hard?
Yeah. And I can't remember if I think she was underage, and I think they were basically like, "You got to get her out of here," and she was not, in great shape. I think she might have walked out, but then we ended up carrying her like across the quad. We went, me and my middle sister went to visit my younger sister in college, and slept in her dorm room. It was a real mess. So.
I never got kicked out of a bar, but I did have one of our fraternity parties at our lodge got raided, and I got arrested for minor consumption. Fun times.
Wow.
Nice. Handcuffed?
No, there
Okay.
was like 25 of us got busted.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been kicked out. Surprisingly, I've never been kicked out of a bar. I've gotten busted by the cops drinking in a park and like that
Wow.
sucked.
That's
Yeah,
some
that was not
degenerate
great.
shit. I love
They
it.
went down the whole list of asking everyone like how many drinks they've had, and everybody admitted it. And they got to me, I was like, I'm the designated driver. So I did not have to go home in a cop car. I got picked up by my sibling.
Yeah, we didn't even get hauled off or anything. They just lined us up. They tested us all, and then we all got the same court date. There's a lot more to the story after.
I
the
thought
court
you
date.
just said corn date, and I was
Yeah.
like, well,
I
it
was
is
like-
Indiana, so I guess that makes sense.
It was Southern Indiana, so there was extra corn.
Sir, here's your corn date. That's when you report to the corn, and we hand down our judgment. I don't know why he's Southern, but there we go.
All right, we got one more here from Metal Prof. Is Frankie Freako related to Donnie Darko?
Could be
Yeah.
different timeline. All right, on Instagram, would you rather be living in this movie's fictional world? Question mark.
Yes, period.
Yeah.
My answer was I want to be in Mad God World.
Not on,
Just a-
not
just
on
a-
Freak World though. That seemed
Just
Kinda
an
dark.
army of automatons shitting down a pipe that goes right into my mouth. That would be better, I think.
I think that's just this world. I'm sorry. Bad news.
And they all have boob asses for some reason.
I'd do Freak World. I think I could take Munch.
I mean, good public transit.
That's right.
I liked
Pick
how
my
Munch he was like sitting in a chair and the hands were I think actual human hand. They were like actor hands.
Yeah,
He-
yeah.
He kept trying to pick up candy and like he would just throw it at his face though.
Yeah.
It was pretty
Which
good.
of this crew do you think would be most likely to survive the Freako test?
It's a good question. I don't know that any of us are getting out alive.
Yeah.
No, it's John. If it's a sliding scale, it's Nurse.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably be on the lowest end of that, I think. But I don't know if Crunch can't survive. What hope do the rest of us have?
Yeah.
Seems like a good guy. Our friend Brian Wolford. Do you prefer new fart or fart classic?
Did you notice? I think when they poured it out, it was cola colored.
Yeah, it
For
was.
some reason, I was expecting it to be Sprite and
Like a little
have it
yellowy?
be clear. Yeah.
Well, like
I was
get back to that
expecting
era
Connor
and
to
make
get-
it fart clear. Remember, there was like that moment where there was like
Yeah.
Pepsi clear. I like fart.
No,
clear.
it's Crystal
Pepsi, yeah.
Oh right, fart crystal. Yeah, crystal fart.
I thought for sure Connor was going to get some kind of weird Freako powers when he took a sip. Like that was the heart of their powers or something. Fart cola.
I love it. Just a good joke, guys. Industrial Fallout. You see there's a new Hellboy movie streaming. Was way better than the last one.
I've seen it. It's not bad.
Really, I've heard nothing
I'm
but
not-
terrible things about it.
The story is good. I'm not in love with the new Hellboy they picked out, which I
Jack
can't think of his name.
Kesey?
Yeah, Jack Kesey. And
Well, I thought that
knew him
Stranger
was,
Things dude was actually a good
Claws.
Ron Perlman stand.
Yeah, I like that one too. This one's fun though. It takes place in like 1940s Appalachia or something.
Levi says pick one. The Dead Zone, Omen 3, The Purge, They Live. Nothing thematic about this at all. It's They Live.
Yeah, I think
If
so
I'm picking out of
too.
that list.
Although the Brood
I'm gonna
is, like,
I'm
one
gonna
of
say
my
something controversial here.
all-timers.
I think that the Dead Zone movie kind of sucks and is boring.
I don't remember.
I
I've
haven't
only seen it
in
once.
A
and-
million
yeah.
years.
It's fine.
I
I
saw it in
like
the
it,
80s.
but yeah.
This is a good controversial question. Schnaggy91. Drive-ins, fun night or super overrated? My rule, only movies I've seen 100 times.
I've never been to a drive-in.
Oh,
I haven't been since I was young, and we used to go when we were kids, and it was awesome, and we loved it.
The last time I went was probably
So-
about 15 years ago. I went to see the original Halloween. No, I'm sorry. I had a child. No, it was right. Lily was like 7 or 8 months old. Took her to the drive-in in like October and
Yeah.
watched. Here's my beef with it. Like, I drive a Honda Fit. So, like, if you're gonna hang out in
it's
your
not the most
car,
comfortable place to like,
it's not the
watch
most-
a movie.
yeah.
being in any car, unless you've got some crazy swanky car. So the alternative is like you sit outside on chairs. I see people do this. I guess that's okay, except in the summer you're getting eaten alive by bugs, and if you go in the fall, you're freezing your ass off. Like there's a comfort problem for me with a drive-in,
Mhm.
and then I'm sleepy, and then what do I got to do? Drive
Yeah,
home?
drive home.
And there's not that many drive-ins. So you're talking about the closest one from here is like 40 minutes.
Well, they're always out in the country because of the light.
I love
Yeah.
that they're still around. I'm just not sure it's something I would do it, but I'm not sure it's something I want to do all the time.
Yeah, I grew up
You
going
just
to
like go to
drive-ins.
make out there, right? Isn't that just like a make out place?
Just go neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm an
With
adult
your
now. I can just
7-Eleven
do that
car?
in my
Yeah.
house.
I grew up
More
going to one over,
dangerous at
all
drive-in.
through like childhood, the same drive-in, high school, and everything. High school, we had a friend who had like an old phone company utility truck that was gutted on the inside, and he had furniture thrown in it. We'd all pile into his van and go unload the furniture in the grass and sit outside and watch movies. It was awesome.
See, that's some white trash shit.
Colleen and I did. But, Colleen and I went to all the time, more for the purposes Rachel was talking about. But then we always had a great time when we go with friends and stuff too. They had one time when we were at my mom's, Delaney was 6 or 7. We decided we're going to take Delaney to the drive-in to see Shrek, and it was the most miserable night ever.
Yeah,
It
that
was
sounds right.
like 90 degrees. There were mosquitoes, and it was just awful.
Eh. I guess it is kind of like going to the movie crossed with camping.
A bit.
Dude, yes, it is. Thank
Yeah.
you. That's hilarious.
You're not.
I did.
doing
There
it
was
because
a
it's
really
the best
cool
way to watch the
drive-in
movie.
near me when I was in Florida that I just thought was neat because it was open year round, which in the Northeast like you don't get. But I remember going once and going to get snacks during the intermission, and there were like, because it's South Florida, it's like Jurassic Park. There were moths the size of large birds inside of the snack room, just flying around like dive bombing. Like I'm not lying, like this fucking big. Like Mothra was there chilling while we were waiting to order food.
Holy shit.
Florida's wild.
Yeah.
It's not right.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Yes. Okay. I think we got one more. What great movies have terrible scores? Scream, Ace movie, shitty loud score. That's from Blob Nelson. I would disagree on your Scream take, actually. I love the Scream score, and I also think it's got a bunch of awesome licensed stuff in it. I can't, honestly, I'm so drawn to movies with strong music. I'm not sure that I like movies that have shitty music. If I have beef with anything, it's like in the 1980s, every horror film had a very distinct theme.
Yeah.
And we know these themes because if you're really into those movies, you can pick them out, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At some point in the early 90s, I think synthesizers fell out of fashion and it became more in trend to do orchestral, like diegetic scores that were just all, and that's what Scream is mostly. If you take out the licensed music, it's like orchestral stuff that's responding directly to things on screen. Whereas the 80s stuff, it was synth and it was mood setting and it was thematic. Like in Halloween, Laurie has a theme. Michael Myers has a theme. There's like a mood setting theme, and those were just used at different parts in the movie where they were appropriate. And I think that creates much more iconic scores than that stuff in the 90s. So if anything, I don't know if that they're bad scores, but there's a lot of movies in the 90s that you just couldn't pick the score out of a lineup. There's no personality to it. And I think it's been a positive thing about synthesizer stuff coming back.
Mm-hmm.
That is a much more cogent take than I could have ever offered. So
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time thinking about these things, John.
hat tip. Yeah. No, for sure.
All right. Well, very appreciative of our YouTube audience this evening, spending time with us. We needed time with our friends like everyone else does. And what are we doing next week?
So Heretic is in theaters. That is what we are planning. We have not done a theater check. I assume it's getting a pretty wide release because I'm seeing commercials on the TV
Mm-hmm. It's
during
an A24. It's going
sporting
wide.
events.
Yeah, they were advertising it during Sunday Night Football for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's okay. So we're doing the Hugh.
Hugh,
No, what's his name?
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant.
Okay.
Mhm.
Hugh Grant.
I'm putting Frankie Freako in my bullpen for now for top 10.
Okay.
It might sneak in there. We'll see.
I could see that.
You know me, John. I like a nice hot take.
Why not?
Love it. All right, that's gonna do it for BGH. Remember, you can catch a live video stream of the show by going to patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. And yeah, hope you enjoy the show. We'll talk to you next week.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.